Can I taste your juice?
Hey folks, PBusardo. So I guess there's a lot of interest in this video right here. You are going to see a wardrobe change and possibly even a haircut during this video, because I'm starting it today, but I'm probably going to wind up finishing it tomorrow because I'm doing a couple other little tests and things that I won't be able to get to until tomorrow, namely the wick or the coil residue test, and I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to see from that one, but I am letting these go through 3 tanks of liquid before I finally open them up and take a look and take a look at the coils and the wicks. Okay, the wicks. Now, here's the deal with this video. Couple of things that I want to mention. Thing number one, this video is not designed to tell you what to use, okay? It's actually more for me because I just wanted to try these different materials side by side. So if what I come out with as the best is not what you're using, don't let that be like, well, Phil didn't come up with what I use, so therefore I must hate him. No, that's not what this is all about. This was just a little test that I wanted to run side by side to try these things to see what was best for me. Okay, what was best for me? What's best for you is what you continue to use to stay off of traditional tobacco cigarettes, right? That's number one. Number two, when I posted the photo of me with this ridiculously large box, because it didn't look that big on the web, okay, but I should have realized that 3 pounds of cotton material would be substantial in size. I got about 100 emails. And 50 of those emails said, "Oh my God, Phil, you're into Rayon. Wait till you try it. It's the greatest thing ever. Oh my God, it's unbelievable." And 50 of those emails said, "Rayon, I wouldn't vape that shit if you paid me." Okay, so opinions are going to vary widely on this stuff. I'm not a materials engineer, a materials scientist. Okay, you know, I mean, I can go out there and I can Google some of this information, but there's a reason why I put this down at the bottom of the screen for all of my videos. Use any of this stuff at your own risk, okay? I've talked to people who say that there's nothing wrong with this. I've talked to people who say, well, you know, it's man-made and it's chemically treated and you shouldn't be vaping it. All right, I understand that, okay? But until there is some kind of a study or a test done using all, because really there's not for any of these materials, kinda, right? But until there is that study that actually takes these materials and uses them in our application and really analyzes what's going on, I can't tell you one way or the other if it's good or if it's bad. I can tell you this, keep your wicks wet, okay? Because if your wicks are wet, less chance of your wicks burning. And that's what we want to stay away from, right? We don't want to be vaping our wicks. We want to be vaping our liquid. So make sure that they're wet and getting proper juice. That's what I think anyway. So you may also ask, Phil, do you boil your cotton? Do you boil your materials? Look, if boiling your materials makes you feel better, you go ahead and you do that, okay? You boil away. If you want to boil in regular water, if you want to boil in distilled water, you go ahead and you boil till your little heart's content. I can tell you that I never boiled my cigarettes before I smoked them. I don't boil my materials, okay? I'm not saying that's the right way. I'm not saying that's the wrong way. I'm saying that it's my way, okay? All right, so what materials did I look at here? I looked at a few different materials. And these are all for my microcoils, okay? Because I have been very, very happily, and you know, part of the problem that I had with doing this was, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, okay? And I have been happily vaping my organic cotton balls for some time now. And even though it's some time now, look at that. There's still a ton of cotton balls left in there. They last forever. They're dirt cheap. Where did these come from? Yes, I am vaping organic cotton balls. These came from Walgreens, okay? And the price is about $3 for a bag of 80. About $3. Do we need to get exact when we're in the $3 range? I don't think so. So about $3 for that. What else did I look at in this video? I looked at a couple other materials. First of all, Cogen dough. That right there, this box of cotton, and this is 100% pure cotton, a cotton that has not been chemically treated, bleached, or pigmented, utilizes the best of cotton's softness for your skin. or your e-liquid, I guess, right? These come in sheets, okay? So there is a sheet of Cogendo cotton. Now, there are 60 pads or sheets in a box of this, and it's a little pricier than your regular cotton, okay? So a box like this, which will probably last you a very, very long time, is going to cost you about 20 bucks, okay? So about 20 bucks. You can find these on Amazon and other places as well. All right, so what else did I try? I tried these right here. And these are Hemp Wicks, okay? And they come from a website called Wicks. They're $5 for a package, just like you see right here. Comes with a bunch of wicks in here. And I'll just read you the description. These hemp wicks are made from 100% organic, degummed, don't know what that means, hemp fibers and are rolled and sterilized. Each package contains 1 gram of hemp fiber wicks. Hemp wicks provide a cleaner taste, better throat hit, better flavor, and liquid wicking performance, creating an overall better vaping experience. So there you go, some hemp wicks from Wicks. And then finally, this very tiny little box here of CelluCotton, okay? So this is going to be the Rayon, all right? And I got this from Sally's Beauty Supply, and it was $14.99. For $14.99, if you like this stuff, you and your friends can be vaping till the end of time, okay? Here it is, and it comes in like this strip, okay? And this strip just kind of just, you know, it's like that old magic trick, you know, where he just keeps pulling it out and out. That's what it is. It comes in this strip. It feels very much like cotton, but when you rub it together, it's almost like squeaky. Can you hear? I don't know. Maybe you can hear that. Let's see. Yeah, there's like something. It's almost like squeaky. It feels. It just doesn't. It's not smooth when you kind of rub it together. Feels very much like cotton, and that's it. That's the CelluCotton or the Rayon, whatever you want to call it. But those are the materials that I used for the test. What kind of testing did I do? The first part of the test was wick testing, and I set it up very much like the wick test I did a long time ago. This is not very scientific, folks, okay? It's very hard for me to get the wick densities, okay, the densities of the material exact. So this is something that I just kind of eyeballed and felt and played with and tried to get them as close as possible. The one thing that I did do and I did keep in mind were that the fibers ran in the correct direction, okay? So like when I use this, the fibers do run in a direction. They're obviously along the strip of this. Even with the Cogendo, you can see like the fibers, they run lengthwise in these pads. So if I pull it this way, you can see it stretches and it gives because of the direction of the fibers. But if I pull it this way, you can see it's much harder to pull apart, okay? So I did go in the direction of the fibers, also with the cotton balls and the hemp wick, all right? So this was kind of eye-opening to me, big time, for a couple of different reasons. Reason number one, I've been happily using the organic cotton balls for so long, so I expected them to be just as good as everything else, number one. Number two, based on all of the things that I've heard about Rayon and how amazing it is, I fully expected to take my wicks, sit them in the e-liquid, and see something like this from the Rayon. But no, that's not what I saw. So let's get into this test a little bit, show you what I did, and see what I did see. Okay, so here is the test. Right here I've got organic cotton. Here I have the Japanese cotton. Here I have the hemp, and here I have the Rayon. Now, of course, there's no way for me to get the densities of these exactly correct, but you know, I've done the best that I could here. They are all trimmed to the same length. And what I'm going to be using is VG. Straight up VG. Very, very thick VG, as a matter of fact. You will see how thick this VG is as I pour it into the container here. So let's go ahead and put a fair amount of that VG in there. All right. And now we will take our different wick materials. We will go ahead and set them into the VG, and we will let them sit and see what happens. All right, so we're at about 4 minutes now, and still nothing showing on the paper. All right, so we are at 10 minutes now, and still nothing happening. Let me go ahead and just lower this a little bit, and we'll aim at where the materials meet the paper. That's about as close as I'm going to be able to get in to them, while still keeping them all in frame. Alright, so now we're at 20 minutes, and it does look like we see some action here around the Japanese cotton. Okay, anything else? Nothing. Oh, lost focus there. Okay, nothing on the organic cotton, Japanese cotton. Definitely something going on there. Nothing on the hemp yet, and it looks like nothing on the rayon yet. Alright. Let's keep going. Alright, so we're at 25 minutes now, and the Japanese cotton still doing good there, and we are starting to see some action from the rayon down there at the bottom. Okay, so it's starting to peak a little bit. Alright, so we are at 30 minutes now. Still nothing from the organic cotton, still nothing from the hemp. The Japanese cotton definitely making the biggest mark here at this point, followed by the rayon. I'm going to go ahead and load up a memory card in the camera because I'm going to wind up running out of space in the internal memory. So we'll be right back. Alright, so about 50 minutes into the test now, and the Japanese cotton, followed by the rayon, followed by the hemp, still waiting on the organic cotton. Alright, we'll let it go a little bit longer until we see something from the organic cotton, which we still don't. I don't see anything on this side either. Huh. Okay, 2 hours and 20 minutes into this test, and now we see some action here from the organic cotton. This is very surprising to me. I would say the score here would be the Japanese cotton coming in first place, the rayon coming in second, the hemp coming in third, and the organic cotton coming in fourth. And I can actually feel the dampness all the way up here at the top of the Japanese cotton. So I am going to go ahead and reset this, and we'll try it again. Here's the bottom of it here for you. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and rerun that test, only this time we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of food coloring to this. So this is some blue food coloring just to make things a little bit more interesting. We'll go ahead and give this a stir. Now the holes that I used in the paper, they are a 3mm hole. Okay, so I kind of tried to recreate what I would use in a typical build. This time I used a little bit more material, and I also repositioned them. So I have the rayon in the first position, the Japanese cotton in the second, the organic cotton in the third, and then the hemp in the fourth. So let's go ahead and put this in there. And this time I won't let the camera just run. I'll just, every 10 minutes, I'll turn the camera back on and we'll take a look and see what's going on. So this is a really good example here of how you know, the amount of the material that you're using affects how well it wicks. All right, so we'll let this continue, and we'll just keep checking back. All right, so we're into this for about 35 minutes at this point, and it looks like the Japanese and the hemp are kind of running side by side here, with the Rayon coming in somewhere third and the organic cotton coming in last again. I'll go ahead and shut this down, and we'll start it up again in a little bit. I'll let it go for a while, and let's see which one winds up with the biggest circle. But in this particular test, it looks like the Rayon, the Japanese, and the hemp are doing just fine, and the organic cotton coming in last again. Again, very, very surprising. Here you could actually see some of the blue food coloring coming up into the Japanese cotton. I'm sure we could see that with some of these other materials as well, but definitely noticeable here on the Japanese cotton. All right, so at this point we are an hour and a half into this test, and they look pretty even, but what I want to do is pull the wicks out and maybe get an idea of how much the spread is from the center. So let's do that. All right, well, maybe that one wasn't the best test in the world. As far as I can see, they are pretty much neck and neck. I think it's too close to call. So let's try it one more time with a very little bit of wicking material. And instead of a 3mm hole, I'll go ahead and put a 2¼ mm hole, very similar to the build that I would do in a K-Fun. All right, so here we go again one last time. In this case, we have the Japanese cotton, then the Rayon, then the organic cotton, and then the hemp. And let's go ahead and sit this in here, and while using much less material this time. So let's see what happens this time. Let's go ahead and put this in, and we will go ahead and let it rest. Okay, so we're only 5 minutes into the test, and already I can see some color underneath the Japanese cotton. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that there. As a matter of fact, if we go to the side of the Japanese cotton, you can even see the color working its way up the wick. And you may think you see color there with the organic cotton, but I believe that is just a shadow, because if I look underneath it, it's definitely not working its way up the organic cotton yet. And you can see the Japanese cotton almost fully colored there from underneath so far. Okay, so there we go. In this particular test, I think that the Japanese cotton, the clear winner here. We'll go ahead and I'll shut the camera down and let it run its course here, and we'll take another look a little bit later on. All right, so the test has been going for an hour now. I think the clear winner again is the Japanese cotton, followed by the hemp, and then the Rayon, and then last again the organic cotton. So I actually left this in last night, and I went to work today, and I came here, and this blew my mind. So here's the Japanese cotton, here's the Rayon, here's the hemp, and look at the organic cotton. I can't believe that. Look at how soaked the Japanese cotton is there. Impressive with the Japanese cotton, not so much with the organic, and this is the stuff that I've been using and not having a problem with. So enlightening for me anyway. So there you go. That's the wick tests that I did, and I know, painfully boring, like watching paint dry, but at least you didn't have to sit here for the hours that I did doing the tests. All right. So what did I take away from that test? What can you take away from that test? Take away from it whatever you want. Okay. Obviously, the amount of material that you're using is going to affect wicking. I was very, very surprised to see the organic cotton come in last place in every one of the 3 tests that I ran. The amount of wicking material that you're using is going to affect how your wicks wick. I didn't see Rayon perform amazingly better or amazingly worse than the other materials that I used, and I did see the Cogen Dough cotton come in first in at least 2 of those tests that I ran. What happened with the organic cotton at that last test after like a day and a half of sitting in the e-liquid? I don't know, folks. I honestly don't know. You know, I mean, even if the fibers were bunched up there at that one point, I would assume that it would work its way around that and eventually start to wick and show something on the paper. Apparently, it was a defective cotton ball, so I'm going to contact Walgreens and see if I can get a refund on that. That one got me scratching my head too, but it is what it is, and I showed you what it is. Okay, so for this next test, this is the burn test, okay? And I burnt all of the materials. I burnt them out on their own in the garage. I dry burnt them in a coil. What I was looking for in this test was anything foul in the odor of these materials burning. Any kind of a chemical smell, any kind of a rubbery smell, a plasticky smell. I was also looking at residue. Were they leaving like a sticky, plasticky residue, or were they just evaporating into nothing? Okay, so let's take a look at that testing. All right, guys, so here is the burn test, and the first material that I'm going to be burning is the Kojendo cotton. Let's take a look at what happens, what's left of this material, and what it smells like. So here we go. As soon as I get my lighter to light. Okay, there is pretty much nothing left. It's just a little bit of ash that you saw there. I mean, it's gone. And let's see what the Rayon does. Okay, so a little bit more ash left from the Rayon. Seems to still have a bit of a glow there in the middle. Kind of smells a little bit like burnt paper. Here is the organic cotton balls. Let's go ahead and see what this one does. And that one seems to pretty much disintegrate, much like the Japanese cotton. And then the Hemp Wick. Coil test, this is organic cotton. Coil test, this is hemp. Coil test, this is the Japanese cotton. Coil test, this is the Rayon. So that's the burn test. All right. What did I take from that? The good news is that they all behaved pretty much the same. They all just kind of like disintegrated into like an ash or a powder. The Japanese cotton seemed to anyway disintegrate the most. Okay. But none of them had like any kind of a chemical smell to the burn. None of them had like a plastic smell. None of them got like sticky burnt plastic residue or anything like that. They all seemed to just disintegrate and smell. The smell was like a cross between, some of them were like paper, some of them were like paper and a little bit of a woodsy smell, especially from the hemp. Okay, but if nothing else, let that test impress upon you that these materials are not silica. Okay, so like silica, I can take my torch here, if I can get it lit, and I can do this all day long. All right, and nothing is going to happen except for that silica is just going to get really, really, really hot. All right, you see that? It's not burning, it's just getting hot. So let that test, and it's still pretty strong there too. So let that test tell you that when you're using materials like this, they need to be saturated or they will burn instantly, okay? So they need to be saturated, they need to be full of e-liquid, otherwise you are gonna burn your wick. So the next testing was what I would consider the most important, which would be the taste testing, okay? And what I did was I built 4 identical builds in 3 of them, well, let's see, okay, I'll be exact. 2 of them were in K-Fun Light Pluses, 1 of them was in a K-Fun Light, 1 of them was in a Russian. I mixed and matched the parts. It didn't matter to me. I even used all Zaris drip tips so that the bore was the same on all of the tips, all right? And I started tasting. This surprised me too, folks, especially when doing this side by side with identical builds and the same e-liquid. The e-liquids that I used, for the first round, I used what I would consider my reference e-liquid, which would be the one that I'm most used to, which is Juicy Vapor's Tribute. For the second round of testing, I used a thicker e-liquid, one that I'm also familiar with, 5 Pawns Castle Long Reserve, and I use that for a particular reason. That one seems to gunk up my coils really good, okay? And I wanted to see what the residue would look like on the coils after a few days of vaping that particular e-liquid. That's why this video isn't done yet. That's why I can't finish it tonight, because tomorrow I'm going to open these up. I think I've been able to get, or I will be able to get through at least 3 tanks apiece. Not on all of them, on my final 2. What are my final 2? Or we're getting to that. So I started testing, or I started tasting these side by side, and again, I was surprised, okay? All right, so before we get into why I was surprised, let me tell you a little bit about me as a vapor, okay? I am an impatient vapor, all right? So if I have to wait a given period of time for a coil to break in and start providing me with full, untainted flavor, you're going to lose my interest, all right? I would rather have something that tastes right off the bat with very little, if any, break-in time. So that's where you're going to say, oh, God, he's going to say something negative about the Rayon. And that's what I thought was going to happen, okay? Because I've heard things, I've heard out in the community that people aren't happy with the flavor of Rayon and that it takes some time to break in. That's not what I experienced, okay? Vaping these side by side, the 2 that came in top were the Japanese cotton and the Rayon flavor-wise, okay? When I started vaping them side by side, here's what I noticed from some of the other materials. The organic cotton had a clothy, that's the best way I could describe it, a clothy aspect to the vape, okay? The hemp had a woodsy aspect to the vape. I didn't get anything other than flavor from both the Rayon and the Japanese cotton. Okay, as a matter of fact, I sat there so long going between the 2, and this is on my Juicy Vapor Tribute, going between the 2 and vaping and vaping and vaping, and finally I said to myself, you're trying too hard. You're trying too hard to find a difference, and I really couldn't find a difference. As a matter of fact, where's my little notepad? I kind of had this concept in my head that I'm really not sensing a difference between the 2. So what I did was I brought the 2 builds, the Japanese cotton and the Rayon build, to a party. with a bunch of vapors that were at the party. Vapors who are familiar with Tribute, and I had them try them side by side, and I said, pick your favorite, or tell me that you can't tell the difference if there's not enough difference, okay? And here's what I got, and I found this interesting. Out of the 5 vapors that tried this, 2 picked the Rayon, 2 picked the Japanese cotton, 1 said they couldn't tell the difference. So in a way, that confirmed with what I was experiencing, okay? There was no clear winner between the two. It was right down the middle. And the more I vaped side by side, the more that's what I realized, okay? So I eventually narrowed it down to my 2 top materials, which were the Rayon and the Japanese cotton. Both of these are 1.4 builds. Both of these right now are at 12 watts. I didn't really notice any difference in vapor out of the K-Funds anyway. So this is the Japanese cotton. And I've got the Castle Long Reserve in both of these right now. And here's the Rayon. And as far as flavor is concerned, they are so similar that you know, maybe people out there with a better palate than me, you know, maybe you consider yourself a sommelier of vaping, okay, that's fine. For me, for my palate, I had a very difficult time telling these two apart. Now there's one more test that I'm going to do that I haven't gotten to yet at this point in the video, but I did build 2 identical Omega decks, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the Japanese cotton in this one, I'm going to put or this one, and I'm going to put the Rayon in this one, and what I'm going to try vaping is unflavored pure VG, that stuff that you saw a little while ago in the Wick tests, in these, and see if I can't get any kind of a flavor aspect off of them, vaping them that way. So that's happening, but it hasn't happened yet. We're going to do a little time warping in this video. Trying too hard. So even there, testing the 2 side by side on a dripper, same coil with the 2 different wicking materials and unflavored e-liquid, I can't tell the difference. There's nothing pronounced or different enough about the 2 vapes for me to make a comment on. To me, they're both very similar. And I would expect that if they're wicking properly, it should be the liquid you're tasting and not the material. But, you know, we say this a lot in vaping, and I'll go ahead and say it one more time here. Taste is subjective, okay? So whatever tastes best to you is what you should be using. And also remember, as you go from material to material and device to device, even different clearomizers, okay? If you're used to one thing, when you try something else, it's going to taste different. That different may be better, that different may be worse, that different may be colored or flavored, but it's going to be different, okay? So, you know, that's just something to keep in mind. And of course, the different liquids you're using are going to make a difference as well. You know, for some liquids, Rayon may taste better for you. For other liquids, Rayon may taste worse for you. But for the 2 liquids that I've tried, I haven't noticed any difference really, or at least nothing enough to make a comment or a hard, firm decision on. Now, one other thing that I did with the taste testing is when I went from the Juicy Vapor Tribute over to the 5 Pawns Castle Long Reserve, I did not re-wick. I didn't open up the bell. I didn't clean the wick. Here's what I did. I took them apart, the K-Funds apart. I cleaned the tank sections. I cleaned around the bell, and I blew out the bell. That's all I did. Then I reloaded them with the new flavors to see what the transition would be like, okay? Here's what I noticed. The Japanese cotton seemed to hold on to the previous flavor a little bit longer than the Rayon did, okay? So the flavor transition seemed to be a little bit faster with the Rayon than the Japanese cotton. Now, what's a little bit faster? Was it an additional 10 vapes, an additional 20 vapes? It's hard to say. Okay, but it did make the transition a little bit faster. Okay, if you want to call it 20 vapes, okay, let's call it 20 vapes. But I just want you to know that that's what I experienced. All right, so the last thing we're going to do in this video is we are going to open up these 2 builds after at least 3 tanks each. and we're going to take a look at, see what the coils look like. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Of course, that is going to have to wait until tomorrow for me, but for you, it's going to be instant. All right, see, I told you it would be quick for you. But as promised, wardrobe change and a haircut. Now, should I happen to slur my words a little bit in this section of the video, or potentially drool on myself, it's because I just got back from the dentist, and like this whole side of my face is currently numb, but I got to get this video done because I have to move on to other things. So let's wrap this up. All right, so before I give you some of my final thoughts on vaping these side by side and we crack them open and we take a look at the coils, there is a guy that I wanted to thank, and it's Jeremy R. He's over there on the ECF, and he seems to have been a proponent for Rayon for some time. And I had a bunch of questions that he did answer for me. Also, Tom Baker on Facebook, he gave me a bunch of information on Rayon as well. Also pointed out that, you know, in addition to this stuff here, there are medical grade sterile Rayon cotton balls available out there. I think he gave me a link. I'll put the link up in the description. All right. So, you know, there are definitely other materials you can try, other materials you can use. We now have, is it bacon cotton or cotton bacon? I have some of that on order. It's out of stock. And I find it interesting that they call it bacon, considering all the issues we had with turkey bacon back in Bogegate. But anyway, that is what they call it. It's some kind of a new organic, natural, pure, pre-washed cotton that some folks are selling out there. Maybe I'll have a look at that in a future video. But let's compare these two one more time. What have I noticed? Let's talk about them, and let's kind of sum this up a little bit. So we started with the Japanese cotton, the Rayon, the organic cotton, and the hemp, okay? And we did some wicking tests. And what I saw, 2 out of the 3 tests, was that the Japanese cotton, when I say Japanese cotton, I am talking about the Kojendo. Some people are calling this KGD, okay? This won 2 out of the 3 wicking tests, okay? And the organic cotton came in last. Then I started tasting them. Off the bat, on a brand new build, I did get flavoring or coloring from the organic cotton and from the hemp, nothing from the Rayon and from the Japanese or KGD or Kojendo cotton. Now, I did the flavor change without changing the wick, and I noticed that the Japanese cotton seemed to hold on to the flavor a little bit longer than the Rayon did. I noticed that. And in vaping these side by side, we'll talk about VTF, okay, vapor, throat hit, and flavor. Vapor, I did not see a difference on the identical builds, okay. Throat hit, I really didn't see a difference. I know some people are saying that the Rayon has a much stronger throat hit. That's not something that I experienced, okay? And the flavor, I thought the flavor was so similar between these two, and nothing funky about Rayon when I first started using it. Again, I know people are saying that the Rayon is flavored or colored. That's not something I experienced. But, you know, hey, taste is subjective, right? Also keep in mind that all of the testing that I did was done in K-Funds, okay? The only time I used a dripper when I was doing these two side by side, testing the wicks with unflavored e-liquid. So potentially, could they perform differently in drippers? They might, okay? But all of my testing was done in K-Funds. Now, at times, I thought the Japanese cotton was a smoother vape, okay? I thought the Rayon was a little bit, I don't even want to call it harsh, but it was just the sense that I had, that the Japanese cotton was maybe a little bit of a smoother vape. Now, I think we're at about 3 days into this on these 2 tanks right here, and this is what's left of my 3rd tank in the Rayon. And I know you can't see because it's a smoked window, but there's maybe a 1/4 tank left here with the Japanese cotton. So using these both for that given period of time, have I noticed any kind of a degradation in the flavor between these two here? Yes, actually I have. I think the Rayon is holding up better than the Japanese cotton. I'm starting to get some coloring in this one. Maybe a little bit of, not really burnt, but an off taste. Some, you know, a taste that you would find similar to when it's time to change your wick. Okay, and that's what I'm getting from the Japanese cotton. Still both good vapes, but I noticed 3 days into this, the Rayon at this point tastes a little cleaner than the Japanese cotton does, okay? So let's go ahead and vape them one more time side by side, and then we'll open these up and see if we can't see anything with the coils, all right? So let me turn my fan off here. And we'll go ahead and try the Rayon one more time. These are, again, both 1.4 ohms, and I'm running them both at around 12 watts right now. So let's let that lock into the Typhoon Eye, and we'll go ahead and vape this one. That's odd because I can't feel the drip tip. Is it in my mouth? Right there. Okay, so you get an idea of the vapor there. And so you don't claim shenanigans. I won't even use the Atlas box. We'll go over to the eye. And, you know, the wicking on both of these, okay? Now, I never had a problem with organic cotton, but these, I mean, I just... to the point where I set off the fire alarm, and they just keep up. Both of them. They keep up remarkably well. The wicking characteristics of both of these is so good. So anyway, that's the Rayon. So let's go ahead and switch to the Japanese cotton now, and we'll go ahead and vape the bejesus out of this. I vaped a lot for this video. Weird. I should vape on this side of my mouth. The Japanese cotton tasting like it needs to be changed at this point. But as far as wicking, just awesome, awesome wicking from the both of these in the K-Fun design. Okay, let's go ahead and break them open and see what we can see from the coils. So you can see with the Castle Long Reserve, that's why I changed my wick a whole lot, because it does leave a lot of residue. I'd like to know what some of that residue is, actually. So looking at these side by side, at this point, I really can't tell a whole lot. I mean, they look pretty much identical. Maybe the Rayon, which is over here, looks a little bit cleaner. Okay, obviously I've rinsed these out, so let's go ahead and see if we can't take the wicks out and see what just the coils look like. So here's the wick on the Japanese cotton. Okay, and you can see under there, there's some discoloration there, but I don't see any, you know, wearing of the material. So let's go ahead and take the Rayon out now. Alright, now we'll look at the Rayon again. We have discoloration, but it doesn't appear to be any wearing of the material or any burning of the material. It all looks to be intact there. Okay, you can see that. And we'll go ahead and hold the Japanese cotton up again. You can see that. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse these out completely now, including what was underneath the coil. So we'll take a look at those coils again side by side. Okay, so this is the Japanese cotton, this is the Rayon. You can see they are both pretty gunked up good there. Okay, so I don't see a whole lot of difference there. But if I look at these, the wicks, so this is as cleaned out as it will get from me rubbing it between my fingers. You can see a little bit of discoloration and burning there in the middle. I don't know if I would call that burning as much as I would just call it discoloration. But anyway, that's what it is, and this is the Japanese cotton. But if I look at the Rayon, you can see that has come a lot cleaner, I think, over the Japanese cotton. So I'm not sure what you can take from this, but that is the difference using these side by side for a few days and 3 tanks of liquid. So there you go. Not really a whole lot of difference there, at least to my eye. Maybe the Rayon was a little bit cleaner than the Japanese cotton, but I think it was too close to call. There was definitely no clear winner. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have run 3 tanks. Maybe I should have cut it down to a single tank on a single day. But it is what it is for what I did. Okay, all right. So now we get down to what I think is the best. And remember, what's best for me may not be best for you. Okay, so use whatever you use to make you happy. But for me, and this is tough because there's two factors that I need to take into account. There's two obvious ones, okay? Wicking and taste. And I thought wicking went to the Japanese cotton. I thought taste was pretty equal between the two of them. But then there's these two other things here. There's this one right here in the middle. There's this one. And this one is longevity. And I think based on what I tried and what I experienced just in this little test, longevity goes to the Rayon. Okay. Then there's this one right here. And this is the comfort in use factor. Okay. Comfort in use. And I think comfort in use for me goes to the Japanese cotton. Why is that? Because it's an all-natural product. It comes from the ground. It's not man-made. It's not chemically processed. That's where the comfort factor weighs in for me. Now, okay, before you start freaking out, there are no scientific studies one way or the other, so we really don't know. The Japanese, as far as we know, is worse than the Rayon. Okay, we don't know. We don't know. But the comfort factor in using the two materials for me goes to the Japanese cotton. I hope that makes sense. So for overall performance and longevity, it seems to go to the Rayon. But for performance and comfort factor, for me, it goes to the Japanese cotton. I hope that makes sense. I hope you found some of that information helpful. As always, you guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.
Can I taste your juice?
No, I'm not going to vape you. I'm not going to coil you. I'm not going to boil you. You have nothing to worry about. I might fluff you up a little bit, but that's about it. See ya.